Armin didn't sleep that night, not really. He lay awake on the edge of the massive bed, afraid that if he closed his eyes too long, everything would vanish. The room smelled like polished wood and quiet wealth, a world that had never been built for men like him. Zara slept peacefully, one tiny hand curled into his shirt like an anchor, and that alone kept him grounded. He replayed Marcus Hale's words again and again. "You're with me. Not I'll help you. Not I feel sorry for you." With me meant something else. It meant movement. Direction. Risk. At 4:17 a.m., Armin finally stood and walked to the window. The city below pulsed with light, millions of lives moving forward while his had stalled overnight. He remembered the exact moment everything broke. The HR call. The landlord's knock. The email threatening to take Zara away because he was suddenly unstable. The word still burned. Unstable. As if a man losing his job erased every sacrifice he'd ever made. He thought of the nights he stayed awake learning new skills while Zara slept beside him on a mattress on the floor. The mornings he cooked breakfast with one hand and answered emails with the other. No one saw that. No one measured that kind of strength. And yet somehow, tonight, one man had. Armin almost laughed at the irony. Billionaires weren't supposed to notice people like him. They moved too fast, lived too high. But Marcus Hale had looked directly at him, not with pity, but with assessment. Like a chess player spotting a piece no one else valued. By sunrise, Armin had made a decision. He would not beg. He would not shrink. If this was a test, he would meet it standing. When breakfast came, Zara ran toward the food like it was a holiday. Armin watched her laugh, the sound so rare lately it hurt. Marcus noticed. "She hasn't felt safe in a while," Marcus said quietly. Armin stiffened. "She's safe with me." "I know," Marcus replied. "That's why you're here." The words landed heavier than money ever could. The building Marcus took him to wasn't glamorous. No glass towers. No marble floors. It was tired. Faded signage. Employees who walked with shoulders already slumped, like they'd accepted failure as part of the job description. Armin felt it instantly, the weight of a place abandoned by hope. "This company used to lead its sector," Marcus said as they walked. "Now it's a punchline." Armin listened. He always did. He didn't interrupt. He didn't pretend he already knew. That habit alone had cost many men their futures. He met the managers. He watched how they spoke to staff. He noticed who avoided eye contact, who talked too much, who said nothing at all. Patterns emerged quickly. That night, Armin wrote until his fingers cramped. Not plans, truths. Brutal truths no one wanted to hear. The company wasn't failing because of market forces. It was failing because of fear. Leaders protecting titles instead of fixing problems. Systems built to hide mistakes rather than solve them. The next morning, he did something reckless. He called an all-hands meeting. Marcus didn't stop him. That alone told Armin everything he needed to know. Standing in front of 200 skeptical faces, Armin spoke plainly. No jargon. No promises. "This company is bleeding," he said. "And pretending otherwise is killing it faster." Murmurs spread. Some faces hardened. Others lifted, just slightly. "I don't care how long you've been here," he continued. "I care how honest you're willing to be starting today." By the end of the week, 3 senior executives resigned. 2 were fired. Whispers followed him through the halls. "Who does he think he is? He won't last. Marcus will get bored." Armin heard it all. He kept going. Weeks turned into months. Zara started school again. She smiled more. Armin still struggled, still doubted himself at night, but something inside him had shifted. He wasn't surviving anymore. He was building. The day profits turned positive, no one clapped. They stared at the numbers like they didn't trust them. Marcus did. You didn't just save the company, Marcus said later, alone in the boardroom. You rebuilt its spine. Armin exhaled for what felt like the first time in a year. I just did the work. Marcus smiled. That's why this works. When the equity documents were signed, Armin's hands shook, not from greed, but from the realization that everything he lost had carved him into the exact man he needed to become. That night, Zara fell asleep on his chest again, but this time, the silence didn't hurt. Red Heart final message TOVIEWS. If this story moved you, even a little, subscribe to the channel, because every week, we tell stories about broken beginnings, impossible comebacks, and the quiet strength no one talks about. Success doesn't arrive quietly, it arrives with enemies. The day Armin Malik's name appeared in the business headlines, the past he thought he'd buried began clawing its way back. Unknown executive turns failing firm into market shock, the article read. His photo, simple, unpolished, sat beneath it, and with it came attention he never asked for. Investors started circling. Rivals started digging. And people who once erased him from existence suddenly remembered his name. The first blow came from where it hurt most. A court notice. His ex-wife's lawyer wasn't congratulating him. They were demanding full custody, claiming his rapid rise meant instability, long hours, and emotional absence. Armin stared at the paper while Zara colored beside him, humming softly, unaware that the world was once again trying to rip her from his arms. Money hadn't fixed everything. Power hadn't erased pain. It had simply made him visible enough to be targeted. Then came the sabotage. Anonymous complaints. Leaked emails taken out of context. A whisper campaign suggesting Armin was just Marcus Hale's charity project. Board members who once applauded him now questioned his decisions. Meetings grew colder. Silence replaced respect. Marcus watched it all without interfering, and that terrified Armin more than any attack. One night, after Zara fell asleep, Armin finally broke. He sat alone in the dark, shoulders shaking, not because he was weak, but because he was tired of fighting storms alone. He wondered if this was the price of rising. If every step forward required losing another piece of peace. The next morning, Marcus finally spoke. You think this ends with success, Marcus said calmly. It doesn't. That's where it starts. Armin looked up. They're coming for my daughter. Marcus's eyes hardened, not with anger, but with certainty. Then we don't fight like desperate men. We fight like builders. What followed was not revenge, but mastery. Armin documented everything. He invited transparency where secrecy once lived. He faced the board publicly, dismantling lies with facts so precise they left no room for doubt. In court, he didn't boast about wealth, he spoke about bedtime stories, packed lunches, and promises kept. The judge listened. The room went silent. When the verdict came, Armin didn't celebrate. He went home, knelt, and hugged Zara so tightly she laughed and said, "Papa, you're squishing me." Weeks later, Marcus made his final move. He stepped aside. This was never about making you rich, Marcus said. It was about proving you were already powerful. Armin stood alone now, not abandoned, but ready. The man who once slept in a hotel lobby holding his daughter now owned the building, and the world finally understood something it had missed all along. Single fathers don't rise despite losing everything, they rise because of it. Backhand index pointing right. If you believe stories like this deserve to be told, subscribe now. This channel is for fighters, survivors, and quiet legends.